Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have Salesforce earnings on September 3rd, 2025. Salesforce is going to report, um, as you guys know, in my personal portfolio, Salesforce makes a huge chunk of the overall value. Um, and I'm really kind of excited, kind of nervous for these earnings, but, I don't think that one earnings should kind of define Salesforce, but I really am personally kind of interested to see what the numbers are going to be, and then kind of report them back to you. I think that the stock is undervalued because historically, it's very cheap on a price to earnings ratio basis. I also think that the future growth is actually looking better in the long term. Maybe not as much in the short term, but I think long term, AI is really going to materialize and grow exponentially. And I think that Salesforce is going to get a bite of the pie. I think that's kind of been the big concern is, we know that this is a, big piece of pizza or a big pizza. And it's kind of like, is Salesforce even going to be able to get a piece of that, for the total AI market? And I think that Salesforce will be able to find a niche. And I don't think that they're going to be able to be replaced overnight. I know that some companies obviously are thinking about that and thinking of doing that. I don't think that it's going to be possible. I think that they're too integrated into the existing companies. And I think that Salesforce is very aware of what's going on. And I think they're actually being offensive and really swinging for the fence and trying to make money. And I really like this approach by Mark Benioff. I really think that Salesforce is taking huge risks and trying to be innovative. They're not trying to just play defensive and play safe. I really think that Salesforce is trying to make new discoveries in AI too. And I think that they're a serious contender that a lot of people are writing off for some reason. And, I just think that that's the incorrect thing to do. I think that every company is going to benefit from the use of artificial intelligence. And I think they're essentially going to be able to build on their existing Salesforce infrastructure and use AI to make it something that's exponentially better. But I think that they actually already have the huge advantage in having the foundation. And they're going to be competitive in whatever CRM software there is or whatever vector they decide to explore. They're going to be making money. They have been making money. They're consistently making good revenue. And I think that they're going to continue to increase the amount of revenue that they're making. And I think that AI is only going to improve Salesforce as an enterprise. I think that we have this tendency as humans to really think the worst of things, especially with new technologies. It's kind of been historical now at this point, because you even think back to the 60s and 70s, they were afraid of different AI and artificial intelligence and things like that. And I think people are doing the same thing with Salesforce stock. They really think that it's just over for Salesforce and that their product is going to be replaced by this new technology. But there's tremendous amounts of talent within Salesforce, and they're working towards also solving problems with AI. They're not just trying to rest on their laurels. They don't give me the impression of an IBM or a big, bloated, old giant of a company. I really think that they're thinking in a very innovative way, in a way that you need to think in tech to be successful. And I think that they're going to reap the rewards. I'm really very bullish on this company. I've been bullish on this company for a very long time. I'm very bullish on the network effects. I may be adding more. I may not. I have a pretty significant position. I believe it's currently valued at $8,800, or I've put $10,000 in though, so I am down about $1,200 on my Salesforce position. But I feel very strongly about the business heading into this earnings, and I really think that they're going to do very well. I think that they have a good, talented team as well. I think that they're very focused on a single mission, and the reason why I actually like Salesforce more than Microsoft personally, because I made a lot of money off of both. Is that with Microsoft, they're a giant. They're clearly going to be unstoppable. They're clearly a good bet for the future. But with Salesforce, you're focused on one thing, which is the CRM. I also really like Agentforce. I think it looks a lot cheaper than Microsoft currently for the amount of growth that you're probably going to be getting. And I just think that they're very knowledgeable about the industry, and they know a lot more about the industry than Wall Street probably knows. And I'm going to put my money with Salesforce because I think that the long-term probability that they're going to be able to continue to earn more into the future is likely. And there are periods of times where Salesforce stock will drop considerably, and historically those have been good times to get into Salesforce stock. And I make no mistake though, once I reach a certain threshold where I've made enough money and I feel really comfortable, I am going to start taking some gains from that. Um, but overall, I'm just waiting on this. I really just want to hold this for a very long period of time because I think that my convictions will remain true and turn out to be true. And I think that, the way that I see this stock going and kind of the forward reality that AI is going to bring, I think a more realistic uh, approach is that Salesforce is going to be a really big winner in terms of AI. And I think that they're doing the correct things, and I think that they're acquiring the right companies. And Wall Street was really very, very bearish on a lot of the M&A because they were saying that Salesforce doesn't have the growth, and Salesforce has this problem. The thing is that the M&A is very smart because they believe that it's worth more than what they're paying for it, so it makes sense to acquire it. And I really think that these companies long term, the value is going to be in the talent that you're getting from these companies. And I think that talent in this industry is going to be very valuable going forward. And I think that Salesforce is kind of quietly doing the same thing as Meta while also gathering very valuable software into their own infrastructure that's going to really improve everything. Because I think that tech companies in general and software companies in general are going to be way more valuable in the future and going to demand a much higher price. So I think that it makes sense to buy them now rather than waiting, especially if you have a long-term vision of what you want to do. And I think that Salesforce does have a very long-term vision, and I think that they're going to be very successful in implementing their game plan, making a lot of money into the future. And, I've been ridiculed a little bit for holding my Salesforce position, and, people have been very hesitant to want to own Salesforce or be involved with Salesforce at all. But I've really enjoyed being a Salesforce investor. I think that long term, it's going to do very well. I just feel very strongly about the business as a whole, and its 52-week high is, I think, over $100 in the other direction. So you're definitely not buying it at a very expensive price currently in historical standards. Now, it could continue to drop, and that's usually what happens. I mean, that's why momentum's a thing, right? But I think eventually Salesforce is going to have to come back because if you keep making money, it doesn't matter what Wall Street thinks. If your business is continuing to make money, then it's going to be worth, more money. That's usually how that works. So I'm very bullish on Salesforce in the long term. I think that Salesforce is a strong business, and I'm very happy to own it. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really appreciate you. Thank you.